8 development points plus 2 initial points. There are only 5 victory point cards in the development deck.
Even I know that.
Now, you could get 2 points as a result of having the largest army.
Yes.
And that would be as a direct result of development cards as well. So that would be potential 7 points you can get from development cards. But you still need 1 more point
From
somewhere else in order to get to the 10 points.
Another city on the board.
Justinus looks as if he's built another city. So it looks like we have a point total of now 6 for him.
And nobody's gotten along this road yet.
Now, the interesting thing here from that standpoint is that when the desert's off to the side, then the players are pretty well gathered together. And you may not want to commit yourself to extending out to a longest road.
Yep.
I would expect it to be had by the end of the game.
Well, I would expect the road for sure,
But right now, the players seem very happy within their 2 road confines on building their infrastructure in that manner.
but getting more settlements down the board quickly. Nobody's trying to slice the island in half.
But of course, having 4 settlements out is a pretty powerful position, especially if you have an engine that is going to city building. You have most of the tools that you need at that point, because if you're building cities, you usually have access to the grain and the ore that you need to build development cards. And as long as you've got 4 settlements out there, you can take all of the cities for 8 points and get 2 points from your largest army. That's one of the path to victory that's open to you. You just can't expand any further beyond what you've got. That's a pretty tight, compact little compartment to have of 4 settlements within your area.
Actually, last night I won a game with 4 cities on longest road.
Very nice.
But I sliced the island in half about turn 6. They wouldn't trade with me after that. I'm not quite sure why.
Maybe it's because you were a targeter, though.
Yes, I put a big target on my forehead.
It's actually fun last night. Catan games contestants. Surprising the number of Catan games in one form or another that didn't pay them. Of course, many of those were structured in Catan, many of them were, there was a Seafarers game going on, there was a couple of other odds and ends, but I guess after a hard day of Catan, people hold them forward to playing a game of Catan.
Well, that's really what surprised me. I mean, they ended at what, 10 o'clock last night, 10:15, something like that. It was awful darn late. But when the semis ended last night.
Oh, right, yes.
When the qualifiers ended last night, and then when they came back and told me that everyone just stopped playing in here because it was over, and they all got up and went over to the other room and kept on going. It's like, okay.
We shut down the open game room last night about 4:30, 4:45. So
what?
That was our last.
Did you say 4?
I did say 4.
4
as in 4 a.m. As in 4:45 a.m. About 5 o'clock a.m. We had the Brazilian contingent ganged up and wanted to play a game of Nuts on the Run about 3 in the morning. So we were all sneaking around very quietly in a very, very quiet hotel. So.
Somebody has apparently mentioned that Reiner is out of the game. I'm not quite sure why, but maybe he's just not getting his numbers. Time for something. You say something, Alex?
Well, we're just we figure we'll take a moment here and we want to talk about some of the other individuals that are instrumental in making this thing happen. Of course, your daughter, Lauren, is the event organizer. Really was in charge of putting together all the on-site material and all the on-site activities that not only the tournament itself, but things like the road trip, the historical field trip that the contestants that didn't make the semifinals participated in this morning, and of course, and all the other odds and ends, the entertainment and the dinners. So she's done a wonderful job of keeping track of all of the different moving parts that this weekend is entailed. So certainly thanks to Lauren, and of course Jim Miles, who is our our Catan tournament organizer throughout the year. So he's in charge of all the feeder tournaments, all the qualifying tournaments that feed into either our qualifying tournaments or directly into the Catan. So for North Americans next year, they'll be in charge of qualifying tournaments to send people into that North American tournament. So Jim Miles is the year-round Catan event coordinator. Miranda Darnell, who's on site here, as our game official, and runs the Catan tournaments at Origins and Gen Con and major conventions throughout the year. Because he also does them for the PAX and PAX East. And Chris Bradley, who's assisting her, it's his first year working with us as a Catan event volunteer, but has been Miranda's able right hand throughout the year. And of course, Bridget Rosnine, who is who's in charge of kind of keeping track of all the odds and ends from a corporate standpoint, making sure that we're all getting where we're going and we all have a place to sleep and a few bucks in our pocket on the side of that. So that's really the core team that we've been working with. But of course, everyone within Mayfair, this has been an event that's been a long time coming. So certainly people like Guido and Benny Toiber as part of the Catan LLC, Bob Carty, all these wonderful shirts you're seeing walking around. To one extent or another. Certainly he's had a hand with that. Larry has been here just kind of making sure that the vision of what we wanted to do here remained consistent with what we wanted to see happen. Pete Fenlon and his wife Olivia. Of course, Olivia was part of the Fiddlers of Catan that we saw. And he's been sort of keeping track of people, along with being a good host for some of our other guests from Alliance Distributing and our retailers. So it's been a complete team effort, but certainly, Lauren Rosnine, Jim Miles, Miranda, Bridget on the ground here, Chris Bradley, helping out Miranda here with the tournament. It's a lot of people that certainly are willing or should be called out for some special thanks for the success of this weekend. So.
Yeah, absolutely. All hardworking individuals, and Bridget especially for training. Keep her husband Larry in.
Well, that's a full-time job. To answer a question on the stream, currently no Irish person stood up they were certainly invited, but there was no entity that talked to us about anybody from Ireland being able to come. We are hopefully going to fix that in the future. We'd like to see everybody in every country that's playing Catan to show up at a tournament like this, but it is difficult for folks to make it. No kicking the die there, young man. 5-4-4-3, they say.
We actually have updated scoring heading toward the podium here. And Justinas does have 6 points now.
Okay, so the graphic was wrong.
Joe Chan, we'll update the graphic. Actually, I intercepted the piece of paper that actually will update the graphics, just so that I can let our audience know that Justinas now has 6 points. Joe Chan has 5. And Herbert and Reiner both have 4.
Turn it around. There's a message on the bottle.
Oh, okay. Just as an interesting little side note here, Reiner feels that he is pretty much at a disadvantage in this game for his placement. So he is playing his game totally open.
He just have his cards on the table instead of in his hand.
Oh, okay. So he's
not open.
He's not playing open. He's playing his hand on the table.
Disengaged, apparently.
Okay.
He's totally engaged. So he's not even looking. He's doing everything. He's not giving any kind of clue of what his cards are. He knows what they are.
Right.
Basically, from what's come in, when he's put them on the card.
He's awful quick in his first placement, but he hasn't been able to move too quick.
Well, sometimes it's funny. Some players will look at a board and see.
Is that box at 12?
It is 12.
Is anybody even on the 12?
Yes, there are actually 2 people that get grain on the 12.
No kidding.
Including Reiner.
Eager to get his hands on some of that, I'm sure.
No, Reiner is not playing the game. He's playing with his cards on the table, but he's not holding them in his hand.
Right.
Eastern Europe was represented, the former Soviet Union was represented by the country of Russia proper, and we did have a Romanian here and some folks from the Baltic states. Trying to look for the list to see if there were any other folks from what was the old Eastern Bloc.
I'm taking this down. If he wants to talk about all countries that represent, I'll bring it right back. That'll work.
Also had Slovakia, which of course was part of Czechoslovakia, and that was pretty much it from the east, from the old Eastern Bloc or Russian Bloc, and of course the Baltic states of Latvia and Lithuania were here as well. So that is the that was all we had from there. We have the Pacific Rim players, Asian players. We had two folks here from Hong Kong. We had somebody here from Singapore, and that was pretty much it for the Asian players as well then. So we had a couple folks from Asian, we have a couple of folks from Australia, a number of new folks, countries that had not been represented before, like Costa Rica, Chile, Brazil. Actually, no, Brazil was at the 2010s, but they brought two folks up this time. And of course, your normal cast of suspects from the European Union.
So I had a long tradition of participating in that. So it's been good to see that that's continued now that they also have the opportunity to fly them overseas and visit the United States. So let's take a quick peek back at the finals board and see how things are going. When last we left, of course, Justinas is sitting at 6 points with a bunch of settlements and cities to show for it. So right now, the interesting thing that's developing is longest run. The thing that we have to be very careful about is Justinas is literally 2 roads away from being able to have a 6-road segment on the board very quickly. And it's a very tight little board there where that is. So that should just be something that he can do at will. So it's almost like having 2 points in the bank as long as he's got the 2 brick and 2 wood he needs to make that happen. So he's 6, but as far as I'm concerned, he's representing 8 points without too much difficulty. So it's going to be someone's going to need to probably think about. That's a pretty dangerous situation it's going to be in. Red's probably the best position to try and make a run at that longest road, but that's dangerous right now.
But he can't connect up his two
Can't connect up his two, but he can certainly wrap the red one around that edge there. And again, if for no other reason than to make it that much more difficult, that you won't get surprised by White by doing that. When White connects those 2 up and gets the 6-road segment, you're already sitting with the 6 on the board. You know he's going to have to go to 7. It has to sit with 6 cards.
And Reiner looks like he's going to take that robber and hit somebody over the head with it.
Yeah, and he is a very large individual.
Yes, he is. And there we go.
And that goes down with authority.
Yes, on top of that.
On top of the 8.
He hovers over the players looking for his cards.
Well, he's playing orange. He just blocked white, red, and blue.